I'd now like to welcome our next speaker to the floor, Zach Oganian, CEO of G7G, who will be delivering a talk on AI and digital capabilities to transform consumer expectations into experiences. Zach is a drinks industry entrepreneur with over 12 years experience in brand ownership and international development. He's also a director at Kinahan's whiskey company, one of the world's oldest and most innovative whiskey brands, which he helped rebuild, and the CEO of Geneva-based G7G Group, which again is focusing on transforming the world's heritage brands with leading technologies ready for the next generation of consumers. Zach, thanks so much for joining us today. A delight to have you with us. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Franco. Our approach to digital technologies, AI, and all the high-tech capabilities is mostly from the consumer perspective at the moment. So what Generation 7 Group is doing is our focus is on preserving and transforming the world's heritage brands for the next generation. What this means is that there is a very big part of the industry, the product industry, fast-moving consumer goods industry, that is very much imploding. So there's a lot more and more of the product, but there's a lot less and less of authenticity and traceability. So what our group is focusing on is owning and operating invaluable, authentic heritage brands, but to ensure that they are, and some of the brands that I'll present today is over 200 years old. And so to ensure that these brands are ensured for the future of the next generations, the next 200 years, we're focusing on implementing existing technologies to make sure that the brands are suitable for the next generation of consumers. So the key kind of focuses for us is, as I mentioned, for all of our brands is heritage and transformed into modernity. So we take all the authentic core of every single brand, and then we make it relevant in a modern way. And I'll make some examples later on. And then, of course, authenticity and craftsmanship is at the very forefront of what we do, because this is exactly what's going to be most valuable components of any brand, of any product for the next generations. So technologies will also allow us to use sustainable practices easier, especially as it comes to social sustainability and responsible consumption. So one of the main brand that we'll use today as an example of how we're implementing all our technologies is Kinahan's, which is a 240-year-old brand, one of the oldest whiskey brands globally, and originally one of the key innovators in the whiskey industry that helped shape up the whiskey industry as we know it today. So by way of a background, because it's very important that those that don't follow consumer trends as far as the premium and fast-moving consumer goods are concerned, I have to summarize the past, let's say, number of decades and the evolution of the market as a whole. Towards the late 90s or so the better part of last century, consumer goods within our categories and the spirits brands were mostly mass market. So predominantly they were price driven, availability driven, and education and cultural approach to brands and to consumption was non-existent. Then very slowly, and every one of you will notice this because I'm sure you see it more and more through brands changing on the shelves in front of you, craft and quality has started to become very important. And one of the drivers of this, of course, is that for a number of decades now, consistently, there's a very sharp trend towards consuming less, but consuming better. And this trend actually is true to many industries, not only beverage industries, but also food industries. And so slowly from craft products are going and consumer driven trends are going into what we'd call mass luxury. And this is mostly where you would see very much a lot of the trends behind brands of consumers going for brands like Zara as well as brands like Louis Vuitton, kind of in the same space, and so a lot of these brands are starting to intertwine, and so mass luxury, so high quality products but at an affordable price, are becoming more and more important. But where we see this whole trend is going is that cultural brands and digital brands are becoming really the brands of the future. As a matter of fact, what we are absolutely convinced about is that brand owners and brand producers, manufacturers that do not operate their own digital capabilities in-house will become, in the next 10, 20 years, will fast become almost a manufacturing base rather than anything else, because what is becoming increasingly important is direct to consumer interaction. So so it is at the top of this slide where we come in as Generation 7 Group to start building heritage brands that are underwritten by digital capabilities. And so again, to emphasize, it is the sharp trend in everything going digital is almost non-reversible. And so the consumers are really becoming digital consumers, and this is only going to increase. This is going to become faster and more available. Technologies are going to become cheaper. So this is where the future of all the premium brands and products is going. And so the overall digital adaptation globally is extremely consistent across board. From in fact, some developing countries are way ahead of developed world too. So and this idea of phygital, which is pretty much one of the biggest problems that everybody's trying to solve in food and bev, as far as the technology is concerned, is the transition from offline into online and back, is one of the biggest problems to solve. So implementing digital capabilities for us is really the key focus today. And so what's next for digital consumers as we see them now is very much the technologies that you would have all heard of, but they haven't really been implemented at this consumer level with fast-moving premium consumer goods. And so in the next 5 years, what we'll see is absolute digitalization of everything as it comes to regular everyday products. And of course, artificial intelligence underwriting all this digital capabilities is what's going to fast forward everything and at the point of implementation. So, and this is exactly where we are with our brands that are part of Generation 7 Group, and Kinahans is a very good example of it. So one of the things that we've done is we've digitalized everything. So every asset, everything you can think of as far as the brand is concerned, the operations is concerned, has been digitalized. So the products, the barrels, as it comes to digital integration, even the brand ambassadors, because one of the things that I'll show you next is our this is where AI is coming into our operations primarily, is that our brand ambassadors are becoming digital, and so which fast tracks a lot of the things that we do. And so creating these digital assets has really allowed us to minimize our overheads and maximize the pace of our growth. So being able to communicate the brand and operate the brand and brand activation digitally allows us to operate equally, if not better, during the lockdowns, allows us to operate faster during different seasons, allows us to really translate our activity globally in a split of a second. And so again, everything we have is all fully digital, and then I'm now going to show you how we then implement it into the virtual reality. And the beauty of this future that we're building is that every asset that you see is equally and instantly from 3D into VR, into augmented reality. And so the interaction and the added value as far as the experience is concerned, and this is where in absolutely every industry the consumers are all drawn towards, is immense. So one of the things that we are due to launch shortly for all our brands is the digital ambassadors that are underwritten by artificial intelligence. And so we call it digitalization, is because what we're doing is we're actually due to use real ambassadors, the real people, as a basis for the digital ambassadors, and then we are translating the knowledge of these real people into the database for the digital brand ambassadors to be able to drive the user experience, to be able to drive education, and the opportunity for social sustainability, to which I'm going to come in a moment. But in terms of education, one very simple example I can give you, which is really invaluable, and this is how a lot of the brands will fast track their ability to grow and add value to the consumer in a positive way, is assume we have a brand ambassador based in a specific region, Far East Asia. And so this brand ambassador is physically only able to give an X amount of talks to make an X amount of impact within the region. And so when you translate this into digital and you give the ability to the consumer to have this personal experience with the brand at a split of a second in the comfort of their own home or anywhere else for that matter, it really is fast tracks our ability to educate people. And this is where it goes towards one of our very important long-term roles, being social sustainability, because one of the biggest problems within our industry, be it an ultra premium brand or a mainstream brand, is a lack of education as far as sustainable and responsible consumption is concerned. And this is where we can implement AI and the data that we're able to have an early intervention through a range of complex triggers that we are able to then generate through this. And so what does it mean to us today? So the early implementation of augmented reality technologies, which allowed our consumers globally during the pandemic time to experience our products, has increased by 3 times our export abilities, our ability to open new markets, because we're able to communicate the products, to communicate experiences very easily and very fast. And so in terms of projected impact in the next 12 months from the time of implementation of our digital assets, is we are expecting tremendous growth in terms of interaction. But most importantly, what it allows us to do is to create experiences and get consumer and user product adaptation feedback a lot quicker, effectively instantly, versus the traditional rest of the industry, which would take between 6 and 8 months between the product launch, campaign results, post-campaign feedback, and the analysis. And so this is, of course, one of the incredible differences that AI would allow us to do, because a lot of this we expect would be automated eventually. So just to put in a perspective, you have to use your imagination, of course. But what we're expecting to do is we're expecting to evolve these technologies. So we start from a certain level of aesthetics, as well as a quality of AI and the ability, the intelligence of our digital assets, our digital ambassadors and digital humans, and then evolve them into slowly, completely hyper-realistic next generation ambassadors for the product, which will effectively turn not only into ambassadors per se, but also into educators, into sustainability practitioners for every product that we operate. So NFTs, of course, is one of the explosions that has happened in the past 12 months. And again, as part of all the other digital technologies that we use, NFTs also become one of the front runners of what we do. We have initially focused our NFT technology efforts to creating enhanced experiences for our partnerships where we collaborate. So to give you one example, one of the experiences we created was a collaboration with during the British Grand Prix this summer in the UK, and what we've done is, as part of our premium product range, we've created an experience which was integrated into a menu and allowed people to access a collaboration that we've done digitally with a Formula One car, and that, of course, then translated into NFTs and was sold and then resold. And so as a result of this, we've received over 50 offers from 12 different countries to do a collaborative project of this type, and we are in the middle of a major one now. So, but this is just to explain that in terms of brand building, in terms of consumer interaction and added consumer experiences, this is way beyond mere whiskey product. This is more into intertwined lifestyle culture, and the speed at which we're able to enhance our heritage brands is simply limitless. And needless to say, the commercialization of this has got no boundaries also, and this is really just the beginning for non-fungible tokens. And so just to kind of put into perspective a little bit, as a next step, of course, all these assets, all these digital assets will slowly trickle down into a metaverse that we are also working on. And effectively, the opportunity is that for our consumers to be able to exist within it. And we all know that some of the major social media platforms are going in this direction as well, merely because, again, going back to the original points of the presentation, everything is becoming digital, and consumers are really welcoming it because it is making their life easier. It is making products more traceable and more easier to access and understand. So what we expect is going to happen for our brands is they're all going to eventually become part of the digital reality, being part of the enhancement of a brand proposition and product proposition rather than a replacement. And so one of the, I guess, the punchlines I'd leave you with is very much what we heard from the first speaker. We too are expecting that the future is going to be breathtaking. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Zach. Very exciting stuff. We couldn't agree more with you on the fundamentally necessary as opposed to complementary role of AI and digitization, especially how that ties in with culture and lifestyle-based branding and brand ownership, direct company to consumer engagement, etc. And I personally found the VR and AR angles and the stuff you're doing within that realm quite exciting. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Frank.
A reminder to all of our attendees today, if you have specific questions for our speakers, please feel free to pop those into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. We'll do our best to account for as many of those as possible during the Q&A and panel discussion later today.